Okay, awesome. So you guys like understand the insane importance of like getting other people to want to do what you ask them to do, what you desire for them to do, and what that ideal future is. But now that you understand that, what's super important is like application, right? So like I can just give you like the end answer and be like, this is the end answer. But like I want you to remember, and I want you to apply it. I want it to be ingrained in your action patterns. And for that to happen, the best way to do that is to tell you stories and to take you through this process. So that's exactly what Carnegie does. That's exactly what we're gonna do right now, and super exciting. We're gonna learn a little bit more about what he's done and how he's applied this principle and how you can literally copy him to just fundamentally shift like all of the growth that you have, and kind of more importantly, the way that you can influence people, which is so much more important, by like getting them to want to do what you want them to do, even if it's like not even their idea, just like planting that idea in their head so that they want to do it with you, which is so powerful. Let's go over to the computer and let's make it happen. Okay, so Carnegie, he's in New York, okay? Yeah. And he's at this hotel. And he rents out this huge ballroom like every single year, and he gives massive seminars inside it, which is like super exciting, and that's what he loves to do, and it makes him super happy, and everyone loves it. The hotel loves it because they get a bunch of people staying in their rooms, and then, you know, it's good business for the hotel. He pays the hotel to use the grand ballroom, and he uses it for like 20 nights each season. So he comes off here pretty frequently, and he's spending a good chunk of change to like rent out this ballroom, which is super cool, right? So one season he's sending out his mail, and he sends out his mail to this list with the tickets and the price for the tickets and the location, and people start registering. They start sending him money, and they're like, yeah, we'll be at your seminar, can't wait to come, it's gonna be awesome, thank you. And then though Carnegie gets a little note from the hotel about like a month before it starts, and the note says, hey, you know, we love you, you're awesome, we're going to change your rent a little bit, and basically they 6x'd the cost, or 3 times the cost, yeah, so he had to pay 3 times more for the exact same room that he'd be using for years and years. And for him, like, he was like, dude, what the heck, right? Because he already sold his tickets, and his tickets were at the original cost. He didn't know he had to like 3x his cost. And so he was like, yo, what in the world is going on? That's insane. And so he kind of goes over to the hotel, and he was shocked, right? He had no clue what was going on. But instead of like getting super upset and saying like, you know, how, you know, he needs to have the best rate ever, he basically quotes himself here, and I want to kind of read what he says, because there's one thing I really want to emphasize. He says, I was a bit shocked when I got your letter, but I don't blame you at all. If I had been in your position, I should have probably written a similar letter myself. Your duty as the manager of the hotel is to make all the profit possible. If you don't do that, then you will be fired, and you ought to be fired. Now let's take a piece of paper and write down the advantages and the disadvantages that will accrue to you if you insist on this increase in rent. So the first thing is, he doesn't just walk in and say, dude, I already sold all my tickets, I already sold all my stuff, you always gave me this low rate, how can you do this to me? He's not focusing on himself. What he's focusing on is the manager at the hotel, and he uses the word you like way more, and he focuses on him more than he ever talks about himself. And he focuses on what he wants and what his needs are, and that's the key, right? Is to focus on what the other person cares about, which is themselves. Vast majority of the time, it's always just themselves. Does a really good job there. Because of that, this guy, the hotel manager, says, okay, sure, you got it, dude. Gets out a piece of paper, we'll list out the advantages and the disadvantages. And so they get letterhead, and you know, they set it up, and you know, he very like neutrally tries to walk this guy through the facts of the situation. He's not attacking him. He's not saying, you know, you did this, you did that, this is absurd, I can't believe blah blah. He's not focusing on like, you know, insulting the guy or trying to get him to be defensive. That's not the goal. The goal is like collective collaboration, right? And so it makes absolutely no sense for him to try to like force anything onto him, because he just can't force something onto him. It's just not gonna happen. And so we just calmly asked him to get a piece of paper, and so they list out the advantages, okay? The advantages, you got the ballroom free, you can rent it out to other people. It's a big advantage to people. A lot of people will pay him more than Dale will pay him for this lecture series. You could also rent it out for like dances and stuff like that. It's a lot better for him. And for 20 nights a season, it means, it's some pretty profitable business. But then he says, okay, well, let's look at the disadvantages. You're gonna have no cash from me, which is gonna suck. You're gonna have no educated or cultured people in your hotel, so less, people, less smart people, less happy people. And as he talks, right, he's just like walking through this process, and he writes this stuff down on his little piece of paper. Because what's really cool is, like, especially when you're negotiating with people, like if you have something tangible and physical, like physical is so much more powerful than oral. And even if you just like get a piece of paper and write down what you're saying, it makes what you're saying sound so much more official, so much more surefire, so much more like real than if you're just saying something. Like, if I can like write down a stock chart or show somebody like a stock chart while I explain it to them, they'll connect with that so much deeper than if I just like orally explain it. And it's the same thing with like any concepts or images that you want to describe to other people, if you want to share ideas with others, or you want to bring them sort of into your world, right? Whatever it is, it's so much easier to just focus on like turning it into a physical thing that they can see, they can feel, they can touch, and it'll have a significantly greater effect and impact on the actual underlying perception that you have with the other person. So that's exactly what Carnegie does. Even if it's just a piece of paper and a pen, that's still a physical object, right? So he just uses a pen and paper, and he turns this mental list of benefits and disadvantages into a physical object, which is so powerful. Can't stress that enough. And he walks through the disadvantages with them, and he says, I wish you would carefully consider both the advantages and disadvantages that we're going to accrue to you, and then give me your final decision. So like, he cares, right? And he's like, this guy, the manager, he knows that he wants a cheaper rate. Like, he doesn't have to say, I want a cheaper rate. He just has to walk in and be calm, be conservative, and say, look, this is the situation. Why don't you he focuses entirely on this manager, focuses on him, and lets him make the decision. And he's willing to walk away, right? Like, he can make other stuff work. He has to care, but not that much. And so like, that's exactly what he does. He gets in there and he cares, and he's putting up his effort to make this argument, but not that much. And he walks away and leaves it up to the manager guy to make the decision. And that's the power move, right? Is to let the other person make the decision. And so he goes home and he just, leaves. And he goes back to Carnegie Land. The next day, he gets a letter and he says the rent's gonna go up only by 50% instead of what it was earlier, which was 300%. And he got this reduction without saying a word about the cost. He never spoke about the money. All he talked about is what the other person wanted and how they could get what they wanted. Normal people, they would storm in their office. They would be like, what are you doing paying my rent or raising my rent? Like, that's just not gonna work. You gotta focus on what the other person wants, and that's exactly what Carnegie does. And it is so powerful, because it stops this manager guy from being defensive about the price, and it just totally gets rid of all the stress, and because he's obviously, he knows that like this is gonna piss him off. But by like not actually being mad at others, it'll make them feel at ease with you and trust you more, and thereby want to do better for you, which is so powerful, because they see that like you're really cool. They also understand that like you've got options and you care, but not that much. And that's really powerful position, especially with negotiations. Just be able to walk away knowing that you're gonna stand by your core principles, your core desires, and your core you more than anything else. It's so powerful. We're in the dorm, and I just finished my journal. I was just getting some water, and And then there's like this huge party in the hallway, which is like ridiculously fun. It was just like the coolest thing ever. And so like I'm like, all right, I got like 10-20 minutes. And so I get my lockpicks out, and we're having like this lockpicking party, and we're like picking locks on our doors, and it's super fun. Everyone's having the best time ever. And it was just like this fun hall party for like 10 minutes or so. And then it gets to be like 7:50, and I'm like, all right, I gotta go brush my teeth and go pass out. It's already meditated and all that good stuff. And so I go, brush my teeth. And as I'm brushing my teeth, there's like probably 10 people just like standing in their hallway, like, or the doorway right in front of me. And like, there's so people, they're just like, stay up, come have this giant party, come do fun stuff, blah, 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 blah. But I know like in the morning, right, like I got business to do. And you usually need like 8 hours of sleep, so I can't just like cut my sleep, and I also don't want to cut the business. So I'm sitting there like brushing my teeth, and you can see like everyone's there, but like I care so much, right? But not that much, right? And so you have to be like willing to walk away from what? You have to be willing to walk away from this idea that like this is like exactly what you want. Like this is like super cool, super fun stuff. But like that like down in your deep core, like who you are and what really needs to happen to get to that level of success isn't really saying yes to everything, but it's actually like stepping back. But it's actually like stepping back and saying, look, you know what? Not a huge deal. Like there were so many girls here. It would have been ridiculously cool to have tons of fun with all of them. But like, dude, I gotta go to bed. And it's cool that like there are tons of girls here, but like, dude, I gotta go to bed. And so I go to bed, pass out. Next day, guess what, right? Because I was able to walk away and stick to my core, stick to my foundation. I was like the talk of the whole sorority for like the next 2 weeks, right? Because I was the only idiot that was willing to walk away. Everyone else is like swarming everyone, all these women, right? And I'm like, dude, I don't care. I gotta go to bed. And that's unique. That's different. Because most people, they're swarming the management. They're swarming the leaders. And they want to get exactly what they want without really putting in that effort, without the willingness to walk away. And the instant that you have that willingness to walk away, like, dude, I'm getting swamped by girls, like, all the time. And it's all because of this ability to just walk away and not freaking care. Changes absolutely everything. And it puts you in this huge, highly elevated position of authority, where instead of focusing on, like how you can get in front of other people, or what you need to do to have influence on other people, like you just start at a level that is so highly elevated, right? Like if you're normally, here, and like this is the amount of respect that you command in the marketplace, like you take that, and all of a sudden, the moment that like you can walk away from something, and you can say, look, this is what's gonna happen. It's not a big deal, but look, these are my rules. I gotta go to bed. It's gotta freaking happen. And there's no choice but to do this. All of a sudden, what's super cool, and what's so cool is this respect explodes. And everyone thinks you're like the most insane person ever, right? You're way up here. All of a sudden, you command so much authority that you literally have other people like, oh my God, it's so interesting. Like, what do you think separates someone that like no one cares about their time versus someone where people are like apologizing for taking up? Like a lot of people, and we'll have these conversations, and I'll be like, dude, I gotta go, see ya. And there's like 20 people I'm talking to because like I'm just talking to everyone, I'm connecting with everyone because like that huge positive personality, right? And I walk into this conversation, and like there are these guys, okay? And we're all talking about stocks, and I'm like, dude, stocks are the coolest thing ever. You guys should all trade stocks. Oh my God, it's awesome. And they're like, oh, give me your phone number. You're the coolest guy. I'm like, okay, cool, dude. Yeah, all right, sounds good. I gotta go. I gotta take this test, but I'll see you guys later. Thanks. And then like there's this one guy at the end, and he's like, he wants me to give him his phone number too. Or yeah. So he's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I know you're so busy. I know you have so much to do. Like, what do you think's the difference between people that like don't like think about it like this, right? I have like family. I love family. Family usually doesn't really respect your time that much, which is totally cool because like you spend time with family. And it's like super fun, not a huge deal. But it's like they don't care, right? They're not gonna apologize for wasting time, which is totally cool, not a big deal. But how do you command others to say, oh, I'm so sorry, and not like saying command others, but like non-verbally, getting other people to respect your time. How do you do it? Well, you create a position of authority that positions you really passionately and highly. And the instant that you can do that, all of a sudden, Other people see your time as more valuable, which is so powerful. And they will literally apologize for like trying to talk to you, which is insane. And it's just a crazy feeling, because like it just feels so good, man. I don't know, it's awesome. And it also lets you get more done because you're focusing on what matters and you're walking away from the stuff that doesn't matter. Just like this, like Dale Carnegie, he's got stuff to do. He can't spend all day trying to negotiate this rate for the room. Like he just has to drop his facts, drop himself in the position, say, look, I'm gonna commit my time to you, but like I got stuff to do. I gotta get out of here, bro. And that's exactly what he does, and that's exactly sort of like the goal, right? And the strat is to just be able to walk away, and it is so powerful because it'll separate you from everybody else. And what it also does is, while you separate yourself from others, like if you're in an argument or like with Dale and this guy, what he does is he lets the do his own thing, and kind of more importantly is he goes off to do his own thing. He's protecting his pride, right? Because he's given the manager these ideas, and he's given him these like seedlings of like why he should let him come into the ballroom, and why he should let him do his seminar for the normal price, or a little bit more than normal price. But he hasn't like forced it on him, because when you force it onto somebody, they think it's your idea and they get super upset and super sad, right? And so for him to maintain his pride and for him to increase his pride, what he has to do is the idea has to come from within his mind. He has to believe it is his own idea. The instant that can happen, all of a sudden everything changes, because he thinks that like this is the goal and this is the strat and this is his plan, and it makes him so much more confident and considerate and passionate about actually getting it done, which is so powerful. And it absolutely changes everything, because like he wants to do it now that he's thought of it, and he's combined these facts in his own mind instead of having the facts forced onto him. And then he talks about Ford, right? And he says, he asked Ford what was like the #1 secret to having success with others. And oh my god, it's so powerful. He says if there is any one secret of success, it lies in the ability to get the other person's point of view, this person's point of view, and see things from that person's angle, as well as your own, right? So you're able to look at the situation as more than just, something from your point of view. You look at it from their point of view. So powerful. So huge. If you can dissociate your mind and your thoughts and your desires and your wants, get out of your own head, go into someone else's head, and think, what does this person desire? How do they see this situation? And how would I feel if I was in their shoes? Look at it from their own angle, as well as your own. And all of a sudden, it's so much easier to like overcome that obstacle or get to that next level, because you're looking at it through their eyes and you're solving it as if you were them. So like, if you can find a solution as if you were them, then that will be the solution that they can use to overcome that challenge, or overcome that barrier, and make it to that next level. So huge, so powerful. All you have to do is look at it from the other person's point of view. It changes absolutely. It's so cool. Oh my god, it's amazing. Because the moment you do that, what happens? Well, you can constructively work towards the solution. Because see, what most people do is they work towards a solution their way, right? So maybe if we say like this was the amount of work and this was the amount of progress, when you look through somebody else's mind, you can get this really huge growth curve. But what most people do is they do a ton. And what most people do is they work and work. And they're trying, they're pushing, but they're pushing from their point of view. And if they're trying to like make this progress with somebody else, it just does not work. Because they go and they go, but if they can't appreciate the other person's point of view, they're only gonna have minimal progress at the end, versus constructively working with the other person and creating this mastermind with the other person and going on a journey with the other person to get to that solution faster, as a group, as a team, as a unit. It's so much more powerful, because you can see that other person's point of view, and if you can solve it from their point of view, they will want to help you from your point of view. So it's just reciprocity. All you have to do is give, go hard. And all of a sudden, what happens? These guys want to be with you, and they want to support you, which is so powerful, so cool. It's so simple. So obviously, most people don't care, because most people only focus on themselves. And when they only focus on themselves, they only get results for themselves. They don't get the group results. They don't get the group growth. They don't get that huge mentality that comes from collective growth and success and progress and work. And if you look at like most letters, most people talk about themselves. Most people, it's just insane because they're focusing on themselves. And when they focus on themselves, they're working, they're putting in the work, but they're getting very, very, very little progress because they're not focusing on what the other person wants. So because of that, like, it doesn't actually lead to the success that they desire. And there's this really, really, really powerful example that kind of shows this principle so well. I want to go through it because it's so huge. I want to sort of emphasize the big points of the letter that Carnegie, he reprints here. It says, Mr. John Blank, right? Blankville, Indiana, whatever. Dear Mr. Blank, the blank company desires to retain its position in an advertising agency leadership in the radio field. You get this letter, okay? Who cares what this guy wants about the advertising agency or the leadership position? Like, he doesn't care, all right? I am more worried about my own problems. The bank's foreclosing on my mortgage on my house. The bugs are destroying the holics. The stock market tumbled yesterday. I missed 8:15 this morning. I wasn't invited to the dance. The doctor tells me I have high cholesterol. Blood pressure, whatever, right? This happens that I come down in the morning, open my mail, and here's someone from New York telling me about what his company wants. If only he realized what sort of impression his letter makes, he would get out of the advertising business and start manufacturing sheep tape. So like, this guy, he writes this letter, and he's trying to he's expressing like why they want to basically stay their clients and keep managing their ads, which is like, whatever, right? But he focuses entirely, like, on the beginning, on himself and on his company. And so because of that, the guy who reads this, like, he doesn't care. Like, people care about themselves more than anything else. And if you're writing this letter and like literally none of it relates to the person that's actually reading it, and all of it relates to the person who like wrote it, and it's more important about them, like, there's this huge separation, right? Like, this guy over here, he could not care less. He's focused on his benefits, right? Like, if you look at direct mail and like sending people sales letters, and then with the objective of like them sending you money or sending you a check or something, or a credit card, or giving you a call to place an order. When you send this piece of direct mail to somebody, literally you are completely removed. Like, you aren't even part of, like, a vast majority of the time, all you do is like sign it at the bottom. And your focus is entirely on the product and the growth and the emotions and the benefit that you can bring to the recipient. Because that's all anyone cares about. Like, you can learn so much about writing effective, like, effective, like, personal communications and birthday cards and notes to people that you work with professionally, but also like personally, by focusing on by just kind of learning a little bit about like this idea of like what advertisers use, which is to focus on the benefit, focus on the person that is receiving the message instead of themselves. Because if this guy just writes a whole like sales page about why he's the greatest person ever, like, most people aren't gonna send him any money. They don't really care at all. But if he writes a whole letter about how, if the person who gets the letter sends him like $60, then he can get this cool supplement that will give him, 60 pounds of rock hard USDA prime beef meat muscle in the next 48 months or 48 days or whatever. Like, that's a benefit to the person. That's what they care about. They want that. They don't want like, I desire your business. Like, they don't care. They're gonna throw that in the trash. That's all that matters when you send people texts, communications, pictures, Facebook, whatever. Like, you're sending somebody a message. All they care about is the impact it has on them, right? Like, if you post like social media posts and it's like, oh, look how pretty, blah, blah, blah. Like, that's cool, right? And like, people will care, and yeah. But you can add so much more value in other people's lives by giving them an immediate benefit and sharing with them something that will actually help them and impact their life and give something of value to them that they care about, rather than just trying to feed yourself, right? It's this idea that like, you want to dig your well before you're thirsty. You want to put in this value in a relationship and connect with this other person by putting in effort and putting in energy and putting in work to give to them before you ask of anything in return. Now, it depends on the situation, and sometimes you could be asking them for money. Sometimes you could be asking them just to like do something socially with you, right? And it just doesn't matter. Like, you know, I have like a bunch of free courses I give away and tons of cool stuff like YouTube. I have a ton of value in social media to like try to help people like get my book and come to courses and trainings like this, which is like super, super cool. But think about how like you could apply this to your life, right? Like if you really want to go to the zoo or the movies or something with somebody, you know that they don't really normally like to do that activity. Like add a ton of value to their lives, make them freaking breakfast and bread or whatever. Make them super, super, super excited and happy and willing and desire. Like make them want to go and do that thing that they wouldn't normally want to do because you made them feel so special, gave them such a huge feeling of significance and importance. More than anything else, they just want to reciprocate and give back and do whatever it is with you. So powerful, so huge. And it's like the key to any kind of communication is to focus on the other person. So next he says, we desire to service our accounts with the last word on radio station information. You desire, I can't say that. I'm not interested in what you desire or what the President of the United States desires. Let me tell you, what's a fraud? I am interested in what I desire. This guy, he is not looking for a moment through the lens of what this person desires. He's only looking at what he desires, which is the worst thing you can do. You haven't said a word yet in this absurd letter of yours about what I desire. And so if you do that, like you're gonna piss people off, right? Most people, they're just gonna stop reading your letter, unless like they really, really know you. So I guess this was like a pretty close business relationship, but like you've got to focus on what the other person wants. Now you guys know, like I'm sending emails and some texts and just all this stuff to do like, you know, marketing. And kind of more importantly is to foster that relationship and help people grow and help them have success and build real savings and retirements, which is what I'm like super passionate about. And so when I send these messages, like what am I focusing on? Am I like, you know, hey, go buy this. It will make me a lot of money if you buy my book. Like, no, right? Like, that's bogus. No one's gonna care. Nobody cares. I'm like, here are all the benefits and all the awesome things and all the huge impacts and the things that will change your life if you get this book. And then you're like, oh, all these benefits. Okay, I better like go and grab a copy. And so that is what you wanna do with everything in your life. Everything has a cost, right? Like everything costs time, or preparation, value. It doesn't matter what you're doing. It doesn't matter if it's physical or if it's emotional or if it's just like a family thing. Like everything has a cost. And so if you can sell the benefits, guess what? It's gonna be a bajillion times easier to get what you want because you can focus on the benefit to the other person. Because that's all they care about. Will you therefore put the blank company on your preferred list for weekly station information? Every single detail that will be useful to the agency in intelligently booking time. Like, insane what happens here. He gets to the end of this letter. He has built up literally zero value whatsoever. He's given no value to this person at all and made them feel special in any way possible. And then he has this huge request. And it's a request to get special preferential treatment for the radio station. And he's like, you should give us this special treatment. Please give us this special treatment. While building up no value whatsoever beforehand. What you want to do, and what I try to do, right, is like just copy this, okay? As you're building out this relationship, add value over and over and over and over and over again. Sometimes it just means communication. Sometimes it means asking what's going on. All you want to do is make them feel special by letting them talk about what they care about and letting them focus on their benefits and just enjoying themselves. Like literally, I'll send people a text and just be like, hey, have the best day ever. Don't ask for anything. Don't just say, hey, have the best day ever. And that just inches up. I do that once a week, every week. Guess what happens? All I do is add value and say, hey, have the best day ever, have the best day ever, have the best day ever. Over and over and over, in different ways, obviously. What do you think that's gonna do? It's gonna make them super akin to me because I'm focusing on their benefit. I'm saying, you have the best day ever, you go out there, crush it. And then, if I get to this point where I need to make an ask and I'm like, hey, you know, would it be cool, you know, I'm launching my new book, do you know anybody that would want like a copy of this? And then I make this ask, and it's like 10,000 times easier because what? They're right here, and they're already acquainted with me. They're already like, oh yeah, 100%. Because I built up all this value beforehand to get them to this point where they want to support me, right? So you want to do that with all your relationships. You want to keep adding value over and over and over. And you're not going to see payoff at the beginning, but you get to this end point where you make that request. And that's where you get the massive connection and the massive growth. And that's where you get this massive connection, this huge payoff at the end where like you're cashing in on all that value that you've created. You're digging your well, you're filling up your well. Now you're just pulling out a little bit of water from the well. Because you need to dig your well before you're thirsty, right? Like you've gotta, this takes time, right? You know, I'm making courses like this. Like this takes time. These are assets that will pay me for the rest of my life, but I gotta put a ton of time in at the beginning to create them. Because no one's gonna buy a course that doesn't exist. I mean, unless you're like super popular. It's just insane, right? So you gotta put in the effort at the beginning because what you're creating is an asset that will literally pay you for the rest of your life, which is so powerful. And in some situations, in most situations, what you're creating is like a relationship asset, which is like so huge and so powerful. And once you can do that, like it changes absolutely everything, which is insanely cool. It's just awesome. And so here he says, preferred list. You have the nerve. You make me feel insignificant by your big talk, by your company. And then you ask me to put you on the preferred list. You don't even say please. I mean, he's just like ranting this guy, pushing him down is like bogus, right? Because he's not focusing on what he wants, which is insane, and it's not the right thing to do. And then the next it says, a prompt acknowledgement of this letter, giving us your best doings, will be mutually helpful. Like, ooh, he's making this huge request, and he like adds no value whatsoever. You fool, you mail me a cheap form letter, a letter scattered far and wide, like the autumn leaves. You have the gal to ask me, when I am worried about the mortgage and the all-outs and my blood pressure, to sit down and dictate a personal note acknowledging your letter. And you ask me to do it promptly. What do you mean promptly? Don't you know that I am busy, just as you are? Or at least I like to think that I am. And while we are on the subject, who gave you the right to order me around? You say it will be mutually helpful. At last, you've begun to see my viewpoint, but you are vague about how it will be to my advantage. Right? Gets to the end of this letter. He has no advantage for himself whatsoever. And because there's no advantage for him, he has no reason to do it. Like, sure, you know, it's his job and he gets paid to, you know, host this radio feed or whatever. But like that's not enough at a certain point. Like, yeah, you know, oh, this is his job. But like his job isn't to like put up with bogus, right? His job is not to put up with BS that doesn't affect him. His job is to be himself, right? His job is to go hard for him. And so as he does this, what's crazy is he's focusing on himself, he's focusing on this growth, and he realizes that everything changes. Why? Because he's focusing on himself. And all he cares about is himself. Like literally he could not care less about what this guy wants because all he cares about is himself. Then in the PS he says the enclosed reprint of the blank field journal will be of interest to you and you may want to broadcast it over your station. In the postscript he mentions something that will help him solve one of his problems. This is absolutely freaking ridiculous. You need to begin your communications, begin your letter with this value. Begin by adding value to that person's life and giving them a reason that they should reciprocate and that they should care about you. You do it at the beginning, and what are you doing? You're digging your well before you're thirsty. It's like depositing money into an emotional or a relational bank account, and then over time you can withdraw from it. You can't withdraw from the bank when there's $0 in the bank. You need to put deposits of time, of energy, of value into that bank account before you request anything out. Great point. My buddy Alex, coolest guy on the planet. You probably have seen his work if you're watching this video because he's doing like my upsell videos, and all he does, he just holds the camera and he like films it. He's my roommate, he's super cool. And I'm like, hey Alex, can you give me like 5 or 10 minutes of your time to film this upsell video of me talking about, you know, how to win friends and influence people and change people's lives. And like Alex doesn't give a crap. He's like, dude, why would I care about changing people's lives and how to win friends? Like, he doesn't care. And so what do? I do nice things for Alex. I add value to that relationship. Yesterday I get like 2 shirts in the mail. I get duplicate shirts. So I'm like, oh my god, these shirts are so cool. Alex, do you want one? He's like, yeah, you bet your butt I want one. That's a cool shirt. And I'm like, here you go, dude. What do you think that's doing? It's adding value to a relationship. It's making him care, making him want to do things, making him want to connect. and it changes absolutely everything. So it makes him desire to reciprocate and to do things with me and for me, and then I do things for him, right? It's a mutual benefit for everybody, and that's actually what he talks about here. And he's like, this should be like the first thing you talk about. People, they literally like will devote themselves to advertising and growth, but they never understand the key concept of adding this value right here at the beginning. And if you just can't add that value, you're not gonna be able to get the result that you want. It just won't happen. Because this relationship, this connection between you and between the other person, even between like multiple people, like all of this, right? It all stems from your ability to give these guys like a ton of value and put them up on this pedestal. It's gonna make them feel like you've done so much for them, and that by them helping you out, they're basically just like giving you a small fraction of the value that you've already given them, right? So you want to give like $1,000 value and try to just like get 200 back, you know? It's just so powerful. So I hope you guys really get this huge concept, are able to apply it, able to crush it, and can like just get a ton of value from this. Because this is like some game-changing stuff. Next module, we're gonna go deep into how to actually correct this issue and how to actually change, that communication. Obviously, this book was written a long time ago, so he talks about letters. But you can apply this to literally like anything you're doing today, emails, texts, or whatever, right? Social media doesn't matter. Like everything comes down to this one concept, and it's so huge. So hope you guys got a ton of value from it. I can't wait to elaborate in the next module. So go out there, apply it. So much, gold and principles here, and just absolutely crush it. And I will see you in the next module. Thank you so much. Bye.